Benedict Cumberbatch for The Imitation Game. My name is Dave Karger. I am the host of a show called Frontrunners on Fandango. It's my absolute pleasure to be here. Besides all of you who are watching this around the world, we are also in front of a live, real audience of about a couple hundred people who have just seen The Imitation Game. If you have not seen it yet, please know that it is out in theaters, so do yourself a favor and check it out. If you're in the United States, you can buy your tickets on Fandango. Okay, so now that all of that is out of the way, it is my absolute pleasure to introduce the star of The Imitation Game, Benedict Cumberbatch. Hello.
Hi. Hello. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Thank you.
Benedict, thank you so much for being here live at the Pacific Design Center in West Hollywood, California. Now, the audience that just saw the movie, a large part of this audience is the LGBT arm of the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild of America. So I kind of want to start by asking you about Alan Turing's being closeted throughout most of his life. And I'd be curious to know, in all of the research that you did about him in preparation for this film, what did you learn about what effect being closeted had on his life?
An incredibly profound effect, obviously. I mean, not least because of how he was treated once he did confess in the police station to having been involved with the man who'd burgled his house, having treated him to come home with him to pay for sex, and what then unfolded, as you see in the film. I mean, there are so many levels to which what you understand and see of him during our story sort of exposed the horrendous nature of an intolerant society, and how a very sensitive, very quiet, very stoic, not very flamboyant or theatrical or outward person in any sense had to deal with what his innermost turmoil and yearnings and truth was. But what really struck me, I think, was that his confession was so quiet. It was just something he explained was, that's who I am. There was no song and dance about it. There wasn't a protest. It was just a very open admission to his nature. And I mean, I knew a little bit about Alan from having seen a very good play, Hugh Whitmore's play called Breaking the Code, with Derek Jacobi playing him, who was extraordinary. I saw the televised version of that in the 90s, and I remember then just thinking what an appalling stain on our history this era was. I mean, it was like, it was our version of McCarthyism. It was very much tied in with the fear, the red threat, the fear of what was going on in Russia and the Cambridge spies. But it was something that had been in our culture for a while, but it became very accelerated in the 50s. I mean, even Sir John Gielgud was arrested at one point. This was something that was being done very openly. And I still can't believe that it was only 100 years ago that the choice was 2 years imprisonment or 2 years chemical castration. And it just makes me want to cry. It makes my blood go cold to think about it. And I think very much to do with informing how I played him, or what his nature was within the film. It was the idea of not being able to show, not being able to openly express his yearnings. And this extraordinary relationship he had with Joan Clark, which was utterly true, this person he met as an equal, intellectual equal, and they had a compromise, a knowing compromise in their relationship, but he couldn't hold true to that. And neither could she in the end, but it was very much a conversation between the two of them. And how much that sort of was a beautiful thing in itself, but again, it spoke of another prejudice of, of sex rather than sexuality, of this woman who was treated as a secretary in a man's world. She was actually put on a secretary's pay, and then I think they upped her pay to being a translator, even though she didn't speak any foreign languages, just to get her pay scale up, because she was actually a code breaker. And you know, as Kira would say if she was here, you know, this is an issue about feminism as well that's still prevalent in the modern world, sadly. You know, place at the table and then equal pay. So these two outsiders and this bond that they form, that very much informed, you know, his my sort of understanding of how to play that. And I think what Alex Crowther, who is just extraordinary in the film, does so beautifully is expose that moment of hope where he realizes his sort of blossoming sexuality is being invested in this boy Christopher, older than him, a sort of savior, both as a friend and as someone he's fascinated by and attracted to. And it's at the same time as he discovers how to deal with who he is and offer up something positive with the difference that he feels he has to other people, that he also